Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to our Ka-Pow Comics Best of 2023 Countdown. And today we're at number 7 with Gryffen by Ben Kahn. And yeah, you know how yesterday I was saying that now we're getting to the top 10 of like literally the best comics I have read all year. In terms of quality, they are all very, very close to being the best quality, like in terms of writing and artwork and layouts. All the stuff that I rate comics on, they're all going to be really, really high. Well, this is the one I'm probably going to expect some pushback on. And I want to clarify right from the get-go that although this artwork isn't the clean, crisp work I've seen in other ones, it's certainly no Jason Burrows. I want to make absolutely clear that I adore the artwork of this one. It does everything it's supposed to do. To start with, I've simply got to say, as a comparison, this comic book, this sci-fi, anarchist, destroy all patriarchy comic book, has some similar vibes in terms of setting hits to late 90s, early 2000s Wildstorm. As in, it is sci-fi action that is very, very horny. But what it isn't is crisp and clean and boring. It is very anarchistic, and I don't mean that in terms of like the negative take on anarchism. I just mean it is about anarchism as a political ideology. It is about tearing down patriarchy and systems of control. And if it was done in that really overproduced, over-coloured, hyped to hell way the 90s and early 2000s Wildstorm comic books were, I think I'd say whoever created this did not understand the assignment. It should be grungy. It should be a little bit out there. It should lean into the sci-fi strangeness in ways that are interesting, and it should not concentrate on making sure every character is very, very sexy and covered in abs. And it doesn't do. It's fantastic. The characters are great, they look fantastic. The artistry reminds me of, and I'm blanking on it, but I want to say Adlard. I think this guy doing Damn Them All at the moment. In terms of like, the detail they get to put into their characters to make each one unique and distinctive, so we're not just dealing with cookie-cutter superhero kind of characters. It's exactly what I want from this. I want every character to be unique and distinct. I want them to stand out from the background and from each other. And they do. And this one, at the point we're going to say, is not just about the artwork, artistry either. One thing I absolutely adore about this comic book, and I think I would have liked it even if it wasn't leaning very, very heavily into stuff I'm going to be into anyway, is the characterization. Every single person has their motivations, which is like bare minimum, ground level stuff for creating characters for stories. On top of all that, the way they interact with each other in the world is top notch. Their dialogue is tight when it needs to be. It is funnier than most comic books I've read, but seemingly effortlessly funny. I think when I did my first review of it, I described it as being about as Joss Whedon-esque as Joss Whedon wishes he could ever be. Even more so than like Guardians of the Galaxy, which has an awful lot of that kind of vibe with it. This is just tight, funny writing. But it's never funny to the point that it doesn't take itself as seriously as it needs to, but it also never takes itself too seriously. These are characters. These are people living in a world which is going to hell. They're doing their best to save it, but they're not going to give up on who they are themselves to basically get through the day. And again, we're going to touch here on the fact that it's a very horny comic book. These are people who have absolutely no issue expressing who they're into and doing something about it. It is a very, very sex-positive story in ways which are delightful to read. They don't really go into any graphic stuff, which is, I mean, I'm not saying I'd be against it if they did, but it never feels like they are doing it for the sake of appeasing anyone. There's no male gaze here whatsoever when it comes to being a sex-positive comic book. It is literally a comic book about just, yeah, sex is cool, have sex, it's fun. As long as everyone's on the same page, you want the same stuff, you're very clear about how you want to engage in it, sex should be fun. It shouldn't be this hang-up, it shouldn't be something which you could look at other people, look down on people because they're engaging in it. It's just like, it's a thing we do, so have fun with it. But that's not what the real comic book's about. It's a nice thing that they do, how that they do it. It's actually about taking down systems. Because this is a big, huge sci-fi epic, and it is, like a lot of sci-fi epics, about taking down big, controlling authoritarian agencies. Now, there is probably some people out there who watch sci-fi like this, or who read sci-fi like this, and still will never quite understand why bad guys in this kind of things usually are referred to as empires, and they have emperors. It's because imperialism is bad. And if you're one of those people, and you're watching this, for a start, what are you doing here? Secondly, yes, Star Wars was inspired by the Vietnam War. That means the Empire is exactly who you think it is. That being said, we do have a top-down patriarchal system in this setting, and much like in the ones of Star Wars, as an example, there are people who exist within this power structure who aren't necessarily bad people. I'm not trying to do away with the all cops are bastard kind of thing. I do stand by that kind of take on it. But in a world where everything is controlled, and the only reason these people did go to the stars and explore in a galaxy, it's not for the betterment of all mankind. It's not done so we can all live in a utopia. It's done to provide more resources for imperialists and capitalists. When this is such an overarching and takes over so many aspects of life, existing within it, even being a part of it rather than just on the fringes or centering yourself away from it, but engaging with it, still doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, depending on how you respond. And here we have a story of people who, while in the system, realise that there are things that they don't like about it, and we have some really, really nice takes on how these people go about that decision-making process, what they choose to do after they've made these decisions, and how they respond to other people who are both part of the system, centred in the system and outside of it. All of these levels of characterisation and world building could have been really boring. They could have just been box-ticking exercises in making sure that we've got everyone from various different aspects of society and different identities and put them in these situations and then have them play out the way that storytelling processes would have you think they play out. But again, the creator of this comic book understood the assignment. These are characters which have fun in the world, as I've already said. They make jokes at each other's expense, and they are willing to occasionally even use the tools of the masters to get their own freedom, but also have them their own inventive ideas to mess with these systems. They understand that if these systems of control use violence of the state, like poverty and hunger and uniformed officers of the state committing violence against you, then violence in self-defense is not only a reasonable course of action, but necessary to overthrow these systems. But they do it in ways which are just so much fun to look at. I mean, I watch a lot of things where we do have revolutionary politics and revolutionary violence, and quite often it is so grimdark and so harrowing at times to see the things these people have to do. And don't get me wrong, there is some violence in it which is unsettling. But the level of humour and love and charm in it would make James Gunn sit up and pay attention. And as I've already stated, it would make whatever, I've already forgotten his name, who did the Buffy TV series, it'd make him look and go, oh man, I totally misjudged what's possible here. It is a spectacular comic book. I am frustrated in the fact that, excuse me, I cannot order it in trade. I've not seen a listing for it anywhere, and I can't get the single issues anymore. I've got my own at home. I picked up issue 1 to read and review, and I fell in love with it. I really, really hope at some point we might see a collection of this one, because I'm fairly sure I could sell it to an awful lot of people. It is spectacular in doing every single thing it attempted to do with style, panache, flair, and again, I cannot overstate it enough, with heart. Every character in here has something about them which makes you want to raise your fist in joyful celebration when they accomplish their goals. It is a comic book I found myself cheering along to, telling my friends of these things that happened and how cool it was to see these things, and it gives you hope that there may be other people who agree with you and may be willing to step up and do something, to be a rallying cry when I would be incapable of doing it, and hopefully get people to follow them. It is a genuinely powerful, moving comic book, and I hope if you're looking to gain access to it, you read it and enjoy it yourself. That's it for me for now, though. I've still got a whole bunch more of these to do, so make sure you hit like and subscribe and tell your friends about me. Until I see you again, though, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.